Well, hi guys, how's it going? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Well, I wanted to give you this little update here because I just came back from my first Bigfoot adventure weekend, as it's called. You know, one of these 3-day events where you go out and go to one of the Bigfoot hotspots. In this case, we were near Bailey, Colorado, which is one of the areas where there are a lot of Bigfoot sightings. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Simeon, how did you go to Bigfoot from crop circles? We've known you as this crop circle guy and a resonant viewing teacher. You know, what's the connection? I'll tell you what really got me interested in the subject. And it's not just that it's another, paranormal topic with, social stigma attached to it, hidden events. That's all true. It's that there are these really weird electromagnetic effects around Bigfoot sightings. And it really, it definitely got my interest because some of the phenomena around Bigfoot sightings are so similar to what we saw around crop circles for so many years. Orbs, balls of light, strange effects on cameras, batteries, laptops just going on the fritz. I've documented this many times. We've seen it many times with our own cameras and equipment. The film and equipment and cameras of professional film companies that we were with at the time, as I've talked about in the past, National Geographic, BBC, and so forth. So it was a really big surprise to me to find out that there were a lot of similar phenomena around Bigfoot, Sasquatch sightings, the same sorts of things that we saw around crop circles and have actually been seen around UFO sightings. I think you can see where I'm going with this. Around Bigfoot sightings, once I started looking into it a couple of years ago, I found that battery failure, camera failure, witnesses described weird space-time distortions, sometimes described as brain fog, but other weird things too, like missing time. And if this is just some sort of undiscovered, primate, as I believed for a long time, just listening to the Art Bell show, Lauren Coleman and so forth. If it's an undiscovered primate or even an undiscovered type of relic human, why would you get camera and battery failure and orbs and so forth? And this is what I put into Dark Matter Monsters, my most recent book, which you can get on Amazon. It just came out in soft cover a couple days ago, as the recording of this video. These phenomena are connected in some very interesting ways that I never expected. I never would have thought that you get the same sort of electromagnetic disturbances around crop circles, Bigfoot, UFOs, even haunted sites. So I think it shows that we're dealing with the same fundamental underlying principles. So to kind of learn more about this, I just went on one of these, Bigfoot adventures that started on Friday. And this is what you kind of go out and do. You go out at night and you start, making some whooping sounds. You might do some tree knocking, things that Bigfoot researchers say that in the past, this has elicited some response from the creature. We went in an area around Bailey. Bailey is a hot spot. These creatures have been seen all around the Bailey area, Lost Creek Wilderness area, Pine, Colorado, this whole area. You can look it up on the BFRO website. And this is what we did. We went out at night. In one case, we went to the site during the day where we were going to go back at night. Now, my particular group, we were divided into different groups. My particular group, it was really calm out there, I have to say, for 2 nights in a row. I didn't see anything, and I didn't hear anything out of the ordinary, honestly. It was just very calm both nights. Beautiful walking out there at night. We played some flute music at the end, so forth, but there was no activity in our area. I couldn't hear anything. It didn't even feel like anything was going on. To me, it just felt like a beautiful forest at night. There were even very few animal sounds. But another group that was just a couple miles away from us had some really interesting encounters. We were talking to the witnesses, and we went back there today to see if we could find footprints, and we did. We found what I could believe our footprints, since I'm sort of new to this whole area of investigation. I'll put them up right here. They looked like what you would expect a foot. These weren't really huge, but some of them were like what you'd expect from a younger creature, and some of them maybe more adult, and you could see little toe imprints. When we talked to the people who had been in this group, and this is what was so fascinating to me, this woman said the first thing that I felt was an electricity feeling on my arm. And so we decided, hey, maybe this is a good spot to stop. They set up their chairs and things overlooking this little valley. They had these thermal cameras. It's a little different than night vision. It's actually looking for infrared energy, not just amplifying light the way night vision scope does, which is what we had when we went out. They had a thermal vision device, and they saw something down there that they first thought was a tree, but it started to walk on two legs. And then they saw a couple more. They heard growling sounds, hooting sounds, even kind of long wailing sounds. And they saw orbs. We asked them today. They said they saw blue orbs, and I think there was also white colors. And at first they thought these would have to be flashlights, right? From other people down there, except they apparently moved in ways that flashlights would never move. They moved up beyond what a human would do with a flashlight. And then they blinked out. They kind of went off. And this is what's so interesting. I mean, I think you can agree. Getting these orbs around a type of, a life form, something that's alive, it's really intriguing because it shows to me, and I mean, you don't have to agree with me on this, but I think this is what it indicates. Just like being around crop circles, it's another form of matter. It's another state of matter. And it seems that creatures like this, cryptids maybe in general, are accessing another state of matter that we humans perhaps consciously don't access as much. Now, I think we do access this sometimes, some of us, when we're doing psychokinesis PK. As I've mentioned in the past, I've seen demonstrations of this where people were able to float things over their palm and melt glass and do very interesting things. And in one case, when I was in Japan, the PK practitioner was able to send a cigarette right at me from a distance about 15 feet into my shirt pocket. I mean, you could try to do that all day, throwing a cigarette at someone to get it into their shirt pocket. This went in with force. So I've seen demonstrations of this, and this is a kind of alternate electromagnetic field, and I'm sure that that's how these Bigfoot creatures are kind of interacting with reality in a way that's different than you and me. They're interacting or creating different types of electromagnetic fields that are perhaps closer to the way nature works. And this is why you get the orbs, the balls of light, sort of the time loss that people experience, the battery failure, camera failure. We didn't hear about any of that last night, but people have reported that if you look into the literature. So in any case, this was a very interesting event to go out at night, 2 nights in a row, to see if we could make contact. And it's very interesting to me that one group just a couple miles away from us really had some very strong contact. And it's something, again, that's new to me. I wouldn't have even thought that this was really possible a couple of years ago, but they apparently got some video footage from their thermal imagers, which I'm looking forward to taking a look at. But these creatures, based on what they described, going back today to the trees and the branches, were pretty tall. There were 3 that they could see, but they suspected that there were more. And I just think it's very interesting that this is something that's sort of hidden from us most of the time, and you really have to kind of go out and look for it. Now, the final thing I'll say about this is you could have experienced this and not known what you were dealing with. You might have been someone who's been out in the wilderness and the woods, or just in sort of less populated areas and heard these sounds, or seen what are called the tree structures, these very interesting kind of shapes that trees are woven into. You might have just kind of ignored it. I don't think I would have paid attention to it a couple of years ago. And all of a sudden now you're looking at it a little different, like, is there sort of a secret life form out here that's doing things and making sounds and creating little light effects that normally we probably would ignore, and here now we're deliberately looking for it and finding it. So if we're talking about what are some of the fundamental principles that underlie all these different interesting topics, I would have to say, it's resonance. It's what quantum mechanics tells us is the basis of reality, is vibration and frequency. And resonance would underlie why you sort of get interaction with certain phenomena and perhaps not at other times. The group that got contact last night, they had some musicians in their group. First of all, they were pretty good at singing, and one of the women demonstrated to us her Bigfoot howl. It was quite impressive sound. But they also went out with this very fun attitude. They actually invited us to come along, and we were already part of another group, so we declined. But we could tell just by the way they invited us, they were just looking forward to going out there and having fun without any particular expectation. So I think, resonance is obviously one of the principles that underlies a lot of these phenomena. And if we can understand that, we would kind of have a better understanding, of how nature works at a deeper level. And some of these other topics we've talked about, cold fusion, parallel realities, and so forth. So we'll talk about those at another time. But again, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you again. Take care for now, and bye.